name is Megan Slater with New Haven Residential Treatment Center, and this is the 11th in a series of videos to help us better understand ADHD. I want to talk about organization today. Those of us with ADHD have a hard time organizing things. Now, some of you that are ADHD are listening to this video right now saying, oh, I don't have a problem with that. Chances are, if you don't have a problem with it, two things are happening. One of two things. One, you were taught by your parents from a young age how to organize. And so it was ingrained in your brain from a young age. Second, you may have a coexisting condition like OCD, which some of us develop with our ADHD, that has helped you learn how to manage your ADHD symptoms. But for those of us that do have a hard time organizing, I just have a couple ideas. And this can affect us in any way. Like you could say to me right now, oh, my bedroom or my house is wonderful. It's so clean. But I wonder what your email inbox looks like. Or what does your homework folder look like from each class? Do you even have separate folders for each class? Is everything in one thing? Is it all in your backpack? You know, so each of us has a piece of organization that we may struggle with. And so my suggestions, which may sound similar to things that I've already said, are these. One, start small. When a young child walks into a room and everything is in disarray, they can't process which things to start with. And to some degree, our brains do the same thing. And so with young children with ADHD, I'll tell them when they go in a room, I'll say, we're only picking up socks. I want you to look for socks. Or we're only picking up books. And I won't even say, put the socks away. I'll say, let's put the socks in a pile. Put a pile right here. And then we'll put those away. So start small. And once they get, maybe you make that an assignment. Once they get the assignment down of a whole week of putting their socks away, then we'll add something else. And this sounds familiar to the previous video, but it's the same principle. When we're learning a new task, we start small, we break it into pieces, we practice that one thing for a while until it becomes habitual or comfortable, and then add something new. Now, we tend to be people that are not very aware of our surroundings. We'll drop things on the way in from being outside, or we'll throw our clothes on the floor, or we'll put these books down with the intention of going back to them, or we have a project that's not quite finished yet that we want to come back to later. And pretty soon, the whole living room or the whole bedroom is just a mess. We need to use other people's perspectives to help us see this. I don't know why it is, but when an ADHD person walks into their own room that's in disarray, it doesn't bother them. But when they walk into someone else's room that's in disarray, they notice it right away. I wonder if it's because they put all those things down in their room and they knew when they laid this down that they were coming back to it. So in their mind, it's where it's supposed to be, but then sometimes they'll forget where it's supposed to be and they lose things. So we have to use an outside person's perspective. Get someone else to come in and then again, the humility piece comes in. You have to be humble enough to let them tell us, your room looks horrible, or let's do something different with your homework folder, or let's try a different way to organize the kitchen or your office space. And then we need to keep getting feedback, because it's going to take us a while as we break things down into small pieces and practice them to incorporate an entire project, to make that easy to see. When I first married my husband, I never noticed that I left clothes all over the floor. I'm putting myself out there right now. It took a couple years of him saying something about it, and hopefully those of us that are giving encouragement and criticism do it in a kind way. But it took him a couple years of him reminding me about it before I started seeing it on my own, and now I can see it on my own. But I trained my brain to do that. And so we need to be humble enough to use outside people's information about how things look, or get outside ideas. Work within your habits. If you are someone who right when you walk in, you drop something on the ground by the door, maybe you get a decorative basket and that becomes your work bag basket, or whatever. Or say you're someone that always leaves your keys on the kitchen counter. Well, maybe you just move your habit one direction lower and it goes into the drawer, and that's like your key drawer. Take the habits that you already use and work with them. because it's a smaller change, and therefore it will be easier to make. And then the last thing is keep trying. And you're going to hear that a lot because it takes us several attempts before things become easier and easier for us. We may have to change our approach. We may have had this brilliant idea of this great organizational trick that was going to work for us, and it didn't work for us. So don't be afraid to be willing to try something new and keep trying over and over again. Thanks for watching.